I used to think the Prime Minister was a decent man, somebody that I could talk to and chat to. We might disagree on worldview, but I thought he was a profoundly decent human being.
Nigel Farage stuns Keir Starmer during live debate. Starmer left speechless. You're not going to believe what just happened. In a live debate that was supposed to be civil, almost predictable, Nigel Farage threw out one line that completely shifted the room. Keir Starmer, the man who usually has a comeback for everything, suddenly didn't. You could see it on his face, that split-second pause, the slight blink, the look that said, "Wait, what did he just say?" And just like that, one sentence turned into a political moment that's now dominating every headline and hashtag across the country. This wasn't just another talk show spat. It was a clash of styles, ideologies, and strategies, and it might have just revealed something bigger about where British politics is headed next. It all happened during a live televised debate focusing on immigration, national identity, and economic priorities, three topics guaranteed to set sparks flying whenever Farage's name is on the guest list. On one side, Nigel Farage, confident, combative, and in his element. On the other, Sir Keir Starmer, calm, measured, and every bit the lawyer, choosing his words like they might end up in court. For the first 20 minutes, it was what you'd expect: statistics, policy arguments, and the occasional pointed jab. But then Farage leaned forward and dropped a line that instantly froze the studio. "Keir," he said, "you keep talking about what Britain should be, but you've forgotten who Britain is." Even the moderator paused. Starmer tried to pivot, mentioning Labour's focus on unity and rebuilding trust, but Farage interrupted again, adding, "You can't rebuild trust with people you stopped listening to." It was sharp, simple, and brutally effective. No shouting. No drama. Just a perfectly timed hit that landed squarely in the heart of a long-running public frustration that politicians talk about the people, but not to them. Here's the thing: Farage didn't just outdebate Starmer. He connected emotionally. That's the difference. Starmer operates in the world of reason, facts, balance, pragmatism. And when those two collide on live TV, emotion almost always wins the soundbite war. Farage's line spoke directly to a section of Britain that feels ignored: the voters outside the London bubble, the people watching rising costs and political gridlock, wondering if anyone in Westminster really understands their daily struggles. Starmer's response, meanwhile, was cautious. He defended his record, referenced policy reforms, and even smiled politely, but the energy in the room had already shifted. You could feel it. Even online, people sensed that something just changed. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. On X, formerly Twitter, one user wrote, "Farage just said what millions are thinking, and Starmer had no comeback. Brutal." Another shot back, "Farage wins applause, but Starmer wins elections. Don't confuse emotion for leadership." The BBC's political editor called it a masterclass in message delivery. Meanwhile, The Guardian described it as a reminder that emotional populism remains Starmer's biggest challenge. Even some Labour insiders quietly admitted that it was a bad look. One senior figure told a local outlet, "Starmer's team underestimated Farage's ability to connect with the room. You don't win debates by sounding smart, you win them by sounding real." Across conservative media circles, Farage was celebrated for owning the moment. But among Labour supporters, there was concern not that Starmer had been beaten, but that he'd been muted in a crucial public test of character. Let's be clear, this wasn't luck. Farage is a professional provocateur. Every pause, every smirk, every plain-spoken phrase is crafted to feel spontaneous, but it's all part of a long-running communication strategy. He knows that in the age of viral politics, one sentence can do more damage or more good than a full policy document. And in that sense, he played it perfectly. Starmer, meanwhile, has been walking a delicate tightrope, trying to appear both strong and statesmanlike, without dipping into the emotional populism that Labour's base often finds uncomfortable. But here's the problem: television isn't a courtroom. It's theatre. And Farage, he's a showman. He doesn't try to win arguments, he tries to win moments. This moment isn't just about British politics. It's a snapshot of a global trend. Across Europe, across South Africa, across the United States, you're seeing the same thing play out. Traditional leaders relying on rational policy talk, while populist voices use emotion and identity to win attention. In Johannesburg and Cape Town, political analysts have been drawing the comparison all week. One South African commentator put it bluntly: The world isn't listening to numbers anymore. They're listening to narratives. And that's exactly why Farage's line landed so hard. He turned an argument about policy into a story about identity, and stories always win. By the next morning, nearly every major outlet had picked up the clip. Talk radio hosts debated whether Starmer's silence was strategic restraint or a sign of unpreparedness. Headlines read, "Farage's one-liner dominates debate. Starmer's calm under fire or caught off guard?" Even comedians got involved, with one late-night host joking, "Starmer was so quiet, even his microphone thought it was on mute." But beneath the humor, there was a serious takeaway: perception matters. Politics is no longer judged by policy accuracy alone, it's judged by presence. And in that moment, Farage had it. Will this change the political landscape? Probably not overnight. But it does expose a growing vulnerability in Starmer's image, the idea that he's careful to the point of being cautious, smart to the point of being stiff. Farage, on the other hand, thrives on unpredictability. He doesn't need to win the argument, he just needs to own the moment. And that's exactly what he did. If you're Starmer's campaign team right now, you're asking, how do we compete with that kind of emotional energy without losing our integrity or message discipline? Because here's the truth. The next election won't just be fought in Parliament, it'll be fought in clips, quotes, and social media soundbites. And in that world, the person who controls the moment controls the narrative. Farage did something far more powerful. He reminded everyone watching that politics is, at its core, storytelling. Starmer had the facts. Farage had the feeling. And in an age where emotion moves faster than logic, that's all it takes to turn a debate into a national talking point. Because in modern politics, silence isn't weakness, but sometimes, it's all the proof your opponent needs.